Oh my God. Happy 2023, gamers. A new year means a new episode of your favorite show, Dave Explains Bionicle Lore. I know it's been a while, but in case you forgot, I am Dave, and I am about to explain some Bionicle lore. I know, it's pretty self-explanatory. For those of you keeping up, today we are going to be talking about the 2005 Web of Shadows storyline, the last story arc that is a flashback. After this, we'll be back in the present with Tahu, Gali, and the other Toa Nuva. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Where did we leave off? So, Makama and the rest of the Toa Metru have just discovered the island of Matanui and had decided to settle there once the rest of the Matoran population in Metru Nui had been rescued. That's kind of all we need to know, because 2005 just kind of keeps chugging right along, so that's what we're gonna do. But first, I have kind of an announcement. It's not really an announcement, it's just a cool thing that happened in my life. So, thanks to @the_Wumbo_Watson on both YouTube and Instagram. Go give him a follow on both those accounts. There might be more, I don't know. Those are the only two I'm aware of. I have since come into the possession of a great many things. Things that I would have killed for when I was younger. Truthfully, I never thought we'd get to this point in the show. I may have even made a joke about it in the past. I don't know, but ladies and gentlemen, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. We've got sets now. We've actually got Bionicle sets. So I'll put that back for now. You'll see more of them later, don't worry. But I'll kind of paint you a picture of how this happened. So Wumbo Watson, good friend of mine, met him at Legoland Discovery Center when I was working there and he was working there, jokingly mentioned, hey, I have a video series where I explain Bionicle lore. And he's like, oh, that's cool. I got like a ton of Bionicle sets just in my basement gathering dust. And I went, do you now? He said, yeah, if you want them, that's fine. I'm like, oh, okay. I kind of just, I assumed it was just kind of a haha funny joke. But then a couple months later, he comes in. He came in a little later than I did. And he goes, hey, David, I got a bunch of Bionicle stuff in my car. And I'm like, you do? Excuse me? Go out to his car. 3 enormous boxes just chock full of Bionicle stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah. Did the exchange. There's still a ton at my house that are unbuilt because there's just so much of it. Hopefully we'll get to it. But that's about it. We've caught up with my life. I'm a very happy man now, for now. But now that that's out of the way, let's get on with it, shall we? This is gonna be a little more chaotic than usual. I do still have pictures to take because I don't have all the sets, but I'm also gonna be like going back and forth from here, but whatever, okay. Now, during his scouting, Onawa finds a tunnel that he believes will lead back to Metru Nui. The Toa agree to scout it out as, you know, something's better than nothing. They head down the tunnel. I guess I'll just get them all out because they're all together at this point. Oh, this, oh God. Oof. Oh. Ah, don't fall. Yeah, this is gonna go really, really well. All right, off to a great start. Truly. Yep, there you go. No. Oh yeah, this is gonna go great. There we go. The Toa Metru, there they are, physically. I mean, they're not complete. Nokama's missing one of her weapons, Matao's missing both his weapons, plus one of his armor pieces on his legs. So it's okay. Anyways, the Toa, they head down the tunnel, noting that there's a surprising amount of Rahi in there, all fleeing from the direction of the city. I'm sure that's Nothing to be concerned about, you know, especially considering a lot of them seem to be like weirdly mutated. It's nothing, I'm sure. No big deal. Anyways, they discover a chamber full of sleeping bow rock. You guys remember those things. And a pool of energized protodermis. But what do they run into but the Rahi Nui? Remember that big chimera thing I mentioned a while ago? 2 episodes ago, I think? That Vakama seemed to know how to deal with? That's called payoff, baby. The beast strikes Nokama with its stinger. Okay, just want to make sure not all of them fell. That's okay. But Nuju, this is the first one I rebuilt that when I got everything, was Nuju. Nuju figures out that the Rahi Nui can increase its volume, but not its mass. So, the Toa band together and pump elemental power into it, causing the creature's molecules to drift apart. Howard, do we have like a physicist in the house? No. No, okay.
We don't have money, sorry.
Oh, speaking of money, did we ever get enough money to get me a Vakama VTuber model?
Yeah, okay, that's a good one.
All right. No physicists, I guess. So we're not gonna linger on the molecules drifting apart thing. I don't know how that works. Whatever. Anyways, Nokama's wound might very well prove fatal, so the Toa hurry on towards the city and encounter a huge plant-like being known as the Karzani. So, if you guys remember the Morbuzak from last episode, the Karzani claims it is the prototype of that creature, and offers to actually heal Nokama, because it's a good big plant monster. Go figure. But in exchange, it wants some of that sweet, sweet energized protodermis. As you might remember, that substance was what transformed the Toa Mata into the Toa Nuva, and the Karzani believes that it will transform into a greater being by coming into contact with it. So the Toa retrieves some, the plant heals Nokama. Let's get her back up right. She's okay now. There you go. There you go. And they give the energized protodermis to the plant, and oh no! It just kind of burns up on contact. So much for that. Turns out only those destined to transform will. You know, don't try and change destiny and all that fun stuff. So the Toa continue on. They find another vessel to traverse the Silver Sea and dub it Valicon 2. Real original, guys. Very nice. Anyways, a fierce storm strikes, capsizing the ship and throwing the warriors ashore. They head towards the Colosseum. That was not worth it because I gotta put them all back up immediately. Oh my God. Did you guys miss this show? Probably. Was it worth the wait? You tell me. Tell us in the comments. Was it worth it? Yeah. There we go. So they head toward the Colosseum through Le Metru, encountering some very strange Vaki. They can speak Matoran, they can rebuild themselves after being torn apart, and can actually do some decent damage with those energy staves now. They make their getaway and come to the conclusion that in overloading the power plant and Pterodax's attempted takeover, the feedback shot back to the Vaki hive, altering them. I don't know how it altered them like this, but whatever. The Vaki catch up to them, and Matau, yeah, because I didn't have his weapons, I just kind of made him waving. Matau attempts to use his mask power to blend in, but the Vaki think he's malfunctioning, and they're like, okay, he's malfunctioning, let's take him apart, and then we'll figure it out later. But mysterious Rotuka spinners, which they're not really new weapon. Don't worry about it. It's not that important. Just new weapons. That's all that matters. Rotuka spinners come out from the dark, destroying the Vaki. Whenua recognizes the Rotuka as belonging to the Vizirac spiders because he sees those glowing eyes in the dark. They try to escape, only to come face to face with a mutated Lorak, which is like a big, I think it's like just a big flying snake, essentially, if I remember correctly. But it also has sonic abilities, which that was never a thing. But also even more Vaki, Jesus Christ. So Anawa and Nokama get separated. Here, I'll do this. They're all together, and these guys are together. Anawa and Nokama get separated and they are nearly captured by the Vizirac, but the other Toa arrive just in time to save them. There we go. Didn't take that long. They continued their journey to the Colosseum, but are immediately ambushed by the Vizirac upon their arrival. They awaken, suspended high above the city in cocoons, and suddenly begin to mutate thanks to the venom laced throughout their cocoon. The transformation rips their bodies apart, American Werewolf in London style, causing the cocoons to tear open, plunging them to their deaths. I'm not gonna do it for all of them. I won't need them for much longer, but I'm not gonna do it for all of them because that's just a pain in the ass. Thankfully, 6 beings called the Rahaga, of which I only have 2 today. I had more, like they are in pieces, but I wasn't, not really a problem. There's no problem with the Rahaga, really. It's just that they were really all in pieces, and they're all small pieces. But here are 2 of the Rahaga. We got Norik, who's really the most important one, and Iruni. These guys show up to save them, because they can fly, I guess. So Norik, the leader, explains that they have become Hordika, bestial versions of themselves, and that it is almost entirely incurable. Unless they can find a legendary Rahi, legendary intelligent Rahi, mind you, named Hitongu, who has a great knowledge of venoms and poisons and how to cure them. Otherwise, the mutation will prove permanent. Vakama, let's get these Hordika out here now. I have most of them. Here we go. Get these Hordika out here. We'll get them all out, why not? I'm just gonna put the Metru, no, I'll need the Metru again at some point. Spoilers. Get more exercise during this episode for sure. There. Oh no. Okay. You will notice I don't have Matau. But that's where our handy dandy, oh, where is it? I know it's in here somewhere. That's where our handy dandy tape dispenser comes in. Mind you, so my good pal Wumbo, there's Matau. Okay. I hope that doesn't look too cluttered visually, whatever. Yeah, I'm sure I have Matau somewhere. It's just that Wumbo gave me all this stuff, and then he texted me like a month later, said, I have more, I found more, but I haven't gotten that more yet. Hopefully someday soon. But anyways, they're the Hordika, or at least most of them. So, anyways, Vakama giving into his emotions, because there's a whole thing where, in addition to altering your body physically, it also alters your mind, so you kind of like revert to more primal instincts. It's kind of like that episode of Primal. Spoilers if you haven't watched Primal. Oops, don't listen to that. Don't listen to what I just said if you haven't seen season 2 of Primal. So he storms off because he's angry. He's big mad. But Norik comes over and he's like, hey man, it's fine, don't worry about it. So he comes back and they agree to make saving the Matoran their priority over finding Kitongu, because hey, they gotta be selfless, they're Toa, their whole duty is to protect the Matoran. That's the whole thing. So Vakama, Anawa, and Norik, that was handy, whatever. They go off to Po-Metru for a scouting mission and happen upon a horde of Roporak, which are Vaki. I'm not gonna go too in depth on the Visorak themselves. They're not really, they're just animals. They're Rahi. They're not, none of them, there's like one or two that are important, but like the base species, not so much. So they happen upon a horde of Roporak, attempting to subdue a horde of Kikanalo. Norik teaches the two Toa to use their Ratuka launchers, which, because we have the sets, I'm gonna demonstrate for you. It didn't work. Let me try that again. All right, ready? There we go. I don't know where that landed. It was somewhere in that direction. We'll figure it out later. Howard, don't let me forget that. Anyways, after the fight, Vakama suddenly remembers that Duma, they found Duma in one of the Matoran spheres deep under Po-Metru. So the Toa regroup. Oh god. Oh goodness. We won't have to deal with these sets that long. I don't have much past 2005 really. I have like a couple for 2006, but after that it's nothing. So they totally regroup and they go underground to locate him, but they find the sphere empty. They eventually find him. It's not really clear how or why, but his sphere had already malfunctioned, so he was just like kind of out and about. He was like, all right, hey guys, how's it going? So they head back to the surface to continue their mission. Vakama later finds Norik and Gaki, which I think that's how it's pronounced. It's either Gaki or Gaki, because the Bionicle wiki says the pronunciation is Gaki, but in Bionicle 3 Web of Shadows, which is the movie, Norik pronounces it Gaki. I don't know, Gaki sounds cooler in my opinion, so I'm gonna say Gaki. I don't even know if it sounds different to you guys. It sounds different to me. There's two emphasis on the A's because G-A-A-K-I. So yeah, Vakama finds Norik and Gaki being attacked by Visorak. They save them, and the Turahaga inform the Toa of Fire that the Visorak were after information. Information on what, you may ask? Well, information, oh yeah, Matau's still up there, oops. Information, let me get Matau off of here. On the Kenobi of Oki, the Mask of Light. How about that? More reference, more callbacks. Whatever. The Rahaga had previously hidden that mask in Metru Nui and had locked it away using the Makoki stones. So the Rahaga urged the Toa to find the stones and recover the mask. Vakama agrees, relates this to the rest of the team. They all retrieve the stones and convene in the Great Temple and retrieve the mask, but not without being ambushed by the Visorak. So Anawa uses a Ratuka. I'm not going to do it again because A, there's no Ratuka on there right now, and B, I don't want to lose this one as well. He uses Ratuka on the mask, encasing it in stone, which is how Takua and Jaller find it later on 1,000 years from now. And the Toa make their escape. Meanwhile, back at the Colosseum are villains who we have not even been introduced to yet. I mean, realistically, yes, you have been introduced to them at this point in the story, but I haven't introduced you to them. Is that on me, or is that on just how the Bionicle wiki stated the saga? The answer is yes. So we have Sidorak or Sidorak. I think it's kind of interchangeable. I have Sidorak and Rudaka. So Sidorak is the king of the Vizorak horde, and he's kind of mad at Rudaka for continuing her experiments on intelligent life like the Toa and the Rahaga. He calls them a plague. But Matau suggests using airships to transport the remaining Matoran out of the city. Thus, the Toa begin searching for parts to build ships big enough to house them all. Kraka, which I didn't get a picture of this time. Did I get a picture of her last time? Probably. Our shape-shifting, intelligent Rahi friend that the Toa encountered just a year ago disguises herself as a Vizorak and infiltrates the Colosseum. Rudaka, unfortunately, sees through the disguise and instead of killing her, makes an offer to spare her in return for evidence that Vakama and the rest of the Toa were never actually destined to become Toa. So Matau and Iruni, he's Iruni. I guess this works. So Matau and Iruni, I guess this kind of works. I really wish I had Matau, but I don't. Oh well. So Matau and Iruni travel to Le Metru to search for viable parts to build airships out of. The Toa of Air becomes increasingly worried about the state of his mutation, but Iruni calms Matau, because you know the Rahaga, they're mutated and they're fine. They're all there, and he reveals that the Rahaga themselves used to be Toa, the Toa Haga. And the reason they're called the Rahaga is because if you can kind of see the heads for the Rahaga are the Rakshi heads, and it's because they're the Haga and they look like Rakshi, so Rahaga. They're not all that important, the Toa Haga at least, not right now. They will be like way later down the line. I mean, the Rahaga clearly are important, but the Toa Haga, you know, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting into spoiler territory for future episodes. Long story short, they were a team of Toa assigned to protect Pterodax long ago. That's also kind of spoilery, so I'm going to stop talking. So the Toa start to discover evidence that they were not, in fact, destined to become Toa. That same evidence that Kraka is currently hunting for on the word of Rudaka. So Anawa and Pooks I hope that doesn't show up red. It looks kind of reddish in this light, whatever. So Anawa and Pooks discover Pterodax's lair and find confirmation that they were never supposed to be Toa. It was, well, we'll get to that. They don't figure out who was supposed to be, but we will find out very shortly, actually. But they encounter a stone snake that actually turns out to be Kraka. Anawa convinces the Rahi to help them, and the three of them venture to Ta Metru to summon the Tatorak for help. If you remember that guy from last time. The Toa Metru were actually supposed to be the very same Matoran that Vakama and company, that helped Vakama and company rather, find the Great Discs. So Nuri, Vizola, Eri, whatever the other ones' names are. So they were the ones who were supposed to be the Toa Metru. So Vakama finds Likon's old diary and finds that he was actually going to give the Toa Stones to those Matoran, but for some reason changed his mind. In Le Metru, Nuju and Koalas, I couldn't remember if I printed out a picture of Koalas. There was one of them I didn't print out a picture for. I believe that was Bomanga. I'm gonna move you, and I'm gonna move you. So we're gonna put Koalas there with Nuju. So Nuju and Koalas are attacked by a horde of Votarak, but the cavalry arrives in the form of Anawa, Pooks, Kraka, and the Torak, which I'm pretty sure I had a picture of. Did I have that picture of Duma up? I don't think I did. Oops. And there's the Tatorak, all grouped together, except Kraka, because we don't have a picture of her. Unfortunately, Rudaka has caught... Oh, Sint. All right. Full disclosure, about a third of this script I wrote when I was inebriated. So there's a couple things in here that are questionable, to say the least. So Rudaka has since caught wind of Kraka's treachery and releases. I even put in parentheses, this is pronounced Zevon because I keep wanting to pronounce it Zyvon, but it is actually Zevon. Rudaka unleashes the Zevon. Because Zyvon sounds a lot better. It's spelled Z-I-V-O-N. That looks like it should be pronounced Zyvon, and I think Zyvon sounds better than Zevon. That's just me. There's the Zevon. A massive scorpion-like Rahi with the ability to send beings to a pocket dimension completely without light called the Field of Shadows. So the Toa Storm Visorak Tower and the Zevon attempts to send everyone to the Field of Shadows, but Kraka, realizing the importance of their mission, takes the brunt of the attack, rushing the Zevon atop the Tatorak, and it sends all three of them, Zevon, Tatorak, and Kraka, to the Shadow Realm. I mean, the Field of Shadows. Listen, an alternate name for it is literally the Realm of Darkness. I think I'm justified in calling it the Shadow Realm, okay? With the Zevon out of the fight, the Visorak army retreats, and the Toa take over the tower as their own base of operations. With the battle over, the Toa and Rahaga split up once more. Nokama and Gaki. Oh, shoot, I did put out a picture of Gaki. I thought I didn't. Okay, hold up. I'm behind on my own thing. What else is new? Mat towel up a little bit. There we go. Oh God. Haven't had that happen in a while. Oh God, what is, oh, that's why. There we go. So Nokama and Gaki get into a scrap with some Visorak, and Nokama almost kills them both while fending them off, because again, it's that more bestial nature that the Hordika venom is bringing out. So Rudaka ponders the Visorak's recent loss, but she doesn't care. She's like, whatever, it's fine. It's fine. She's convinced that one of the Toa are actually going to betray their brothers and sister and tell Sidorak of this theory. Meanwhile, Vakama, there you are. Vakama is not doing so hot. His mental state is suffering the worst out of all. He even tried to choke out Winoa, like straight up just grabbed his throat and tried to kill him. Not good. So he goes for a walk to clear his head, but he's ambushed by a horde of Bogarak. And I really don't know how to pronounce most of the Visorak names because they're really not that important. The worst one is the green Visorak. It's spelled Keelerak. So you'd think it'd be pronounced Killarak. But in the movie, Sidorak talks to one and he calls it Kalarak. So I don't know, it's kind of unclear. That's why it's not that important, I don't think. So the Bogarak take Vakama and capture him. He brings him before Rudaka, who offers him the chance to lead the Visorak army. She was right. Someone's going to betray him. So Vakama takes the offer and returns to the Great Temple to capture the Rahaga for the Vortex. Rahaga. Rudaka is a Vortex. That's her species. So he captures them all, but he leaves Norik behind. But he's on the brink of death. The other Toa find him the following morning. But thankfully, Norik and Gaki, let's do a little bit of organization skills here. These guys are all captured. Now the real question is, can we get Iruni to kind of be in the same, is that gonna work better than I thought it was gonna? All right, very cool. Thankfully, Norik and Gaki What were they doing last night in that temple? Get your mind out of the gutter. They were looking for clues for Kitangu. And they have seemingly found the location. Follow the falling tears to Kometru until they reach the sky. So they journey to the colder climate of the city and do indeed manage to find. He fell over, you may have seen him already, but here's Kitangu. Look at this guy. He's mostly complete. I thought about maybe rebuilding him because there's a couple weird things wrong with him physically right now, but I didn't have the time. I've been so busy today. But yes, Kitangu agrees to help them, and Vakama presents the captured Rahaga to Sidorak, and Sidorak's like, hey, good job, man. You're pretty cool. You want to lead the Vizorak army? Anyways, with Kitangu found, the only thing left to do is to make one final assault on the Colosseum to rescue the Matoran. And, you know, I guess Vakama too. I mean, he's kind of one of our main characters. I mean, we all know how it turns out in the end. He's going to be fine. Anyways, they breach the structure's defenses. Matau stays behind. I'm worried Aruni's going to fall. Hopefully he doesn't. He won't need to be up there for very much longer. Okay, so the Toa go in. Kitangu will be off by himself. Toa are all doing their thing. Orc is also there. So Matau stays behind to confront Vakama. The Toa of Fire gets the upper hand with Matau hanging by his fingers. I guess that kind of works. Hanging by his fingers off the edge of the Colosseum. The Toa find the Matoran spheres, but are attacked by a Kagarak spider and thrown into the main arena. Kitangu is busy climbing on the outside of the main spire, and Sidorak and Rudaka, I thought I'd moved Rudaka, but apparently not. Oh God, this is such a mess. All right, we'll move you there. There we go. You know, that's thematically relevant. Yes, Sidorak and Rudaka attempt to blast him off, which they do. Well, Sidorak tries. He tries twice and misses both times because he sucks. But Rudaka lands at first try because she's cool like that. So the Blast of Shadow knocks the beast down to the ground, and both leaders go down to ensure that he is dead. Sidorak offers Rudaka to land the killing blow, but Rudaka tells him to stop being such a beta and to do it himself, for God's sake. She walks off, knowing Sidorak will fail. Don't you do it, Iruni. Don't fall, I swear to God. So Rudaka walks off, knowing that Sidorak sucks and he's not going to do it, and if he even tries, he's going to screw it up somehow, which he does. He doesn't even try. I want to say, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but in the movie, in that scene, like Kitangu's kind of rising up behind Sidorak, and Sidorak's like, but I can't do it by myself. That's just how much Sidorak sucks. The set's cool though. I really like that set. Never had it though. I don't know. Maybe I do have that one. We'll see. But she walks off. Kitangu kills Sidorak by literally beating him to death. Vakama comes to his senses, saves Matau. You can get Sidorak out of here. He's dead. Goodbye. Saves Matau. And Norik frees the captured Rahaga. I'm just going to put you guys up there. You better also not fall, Norik. Okay. That's good enough. Again, I still don't have a picture of Bamanga. Oh well, that was on me. Whatever. So, the team back together. The Vizorak army is under new leadership with Rudaka, who confronts all the Toa. How do I want to do this? So Rudaka confronts all the Toa, and they all fire their Ratuka spinners at him. Again, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to lose these. They're very easily lost. I mean, for God's sake, the one I fired earlier, I heard like bouncing up in the ceiling. I was actually very impressed it got that high. but I know it landed somewhere in that direction, so it's cool. She calls out to Vakama, though, before he can fire. She tells them that while they can defeat her, there's still a whole army to deal with. But Vakama says, LOL, and being, again, the official leader of the Visorak Horde, tells the Visorak, all right, y'all can go home now. It's cool. We're done. This actually works. Vakama fires his Ratuka at Rudaka. Norik was like, wait, hold up, but it's just a little too late. Suddenly, as the Ratuka hits Rudaka, a shadow hand emerges from Rudaka's chest and engulfs her, leaving behind only a small sliver of protodermis. So Norik explains that sliver is actually came from the seal in which the Toa imprisoned pterodax using their elemental energy. And having used their energy once again, even on this small little piece of the seal, they had in fact freed the Makuta. Vakama says, whatever, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And Kitangu does what he does, and he uses his power to transform them back into the Toa Metru. So we're gonna do this again. This is the last time we're gonna have to do this, I swear. At least this episode. That's fine, we won't need it much more on future episodes. Again, I don't have much after 2005. Oh yeah, Rudaka's gone. Get her out of here. Goodbye, Winoa. Oh, no, we still need the Metru. These guys are right here, though. It's fine. Oh, God. Come on. Stand. Stand up correctly. Oh God, I'm trying to get these in a pose where they don't look dumb. Like I want them to be in like a pose that looks at least somewhat cool, but also not like so like stupidly cool. Like it just looks dumb. You know what I mean? I'm trying my best here. No. Please, for the love of God, for the love of God. Okay, so they're back to the Toa Metru. Good job. So with the help of the Rahaga, Kitangu, and Duma, who I have a picture of, but I didn't put it up, so I'm not going to put it up now because it's the last time he's being mentioned in this episode. Whatever. So the Toa load the Matoran onto the airships and head to their new home, with Anima noticing that as they pass, yeah, Pterodax has been freed. He's gone. So they make their way to Madanui. And yeah, this is usually where the story would end now that they're on to greener pastures, but not really the case this time. There's still one major loose end to take care of. The Kanohi Vahi, the Mask of Time, which I should have printed out a picture of, but I didn't. My bad. With Pterodax loose again, there's no way the Toa can allow him to get the mask again. So Vakama agrees to stay behind in Metru Nui to recover it, while the rest of the Toa move on. They can continue their journey to the surface. So let's put the rest of the Toa back. We really only need, for the time being, we really only need Vakama. Don't even need anyone. I don't think we need, oh. Mata was up there the whole time. I totally missed that. Oops. We'll leave Kitangu there. Vakama dives into the Silver Sea and manages to find the Vahi, but a wave crashes him onto the rocks and he faints, but not before seeing a shadowy figure appear before him who takes the mask. On the island of Odina, the Shadowed One, the leader of the Dark Hunters. Oh. There he is, the Shadowed One. I'll mention it here because this is an important character. It's a set picture, as you can see, but not released as a set. It was a combiner model with Kitongu and Rudaka, I believe. Right? Yes, yes. So the Shadowed One, leader of the Dark Hunters, he leaves for Metru Nui to enact vengeance on the Toa Metru because he believes they're the ones responsible for the deaths of Nadiki and Kreka back during the Great Cataclysm. Vakama awakens, finding himself back as a Matoran again. Metru Nui is still safe, aside from the more Buzak still being there. The Matoran who were destined, Vizola, Nuri, and everyone else, they are in fact Toa now, because again, they were originally destined, they were supposed to be the Toa. And they've imposed a strict martial order over the city. None of Vakama's friends seem to know who he is. Matau even is actually long dead from an accident. But Nokama, being a good pal and friend, she agrees to help him. And they travel to Pterodax's lair. Upon entering, Vakama has a vision of a Toa of Sonics named Krakua, who warns that in the future, 6 Toa will embark to the darkest place imaginable. But the sudden arrival of Taragali Khan, who I didn't get a picture of. There's a reason for that. I don't know why I said that. Taragali Khan breaks him out of it. Vakama feels like something is off, and he goes ahead and attacks Nokama. The Kanoka disc he throws goes right through her and confirms his suspicions. This whole thing, all of it, just one big illusion created by... Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess who it is. It's Pterodax. He's the villain. He's back. He's back, baby. The Toa of Fire and the Master of Shadows fight for a bit, but Vakama tells Pterodax about the person who took the Vahi from him. So for the time being, Toa and Makuta put aside their differences to work together to retrieve the mask. This is like the only time this happens in Bionicle. I mean, maybe not in the entire extended lore, but for the lore I'm covering, really the only time it happens. They make their way to the Great Temple, where Vaporak, the figure Vakama saw, who took the Vahi, has brought the Vahi to the Shadowed One and his bodyguard, Centrock. There we go, 3 amigos. Pterodax urges Vakama to slip inside the Great Temple to retrieve the Vahi and to spy, and he'll be behind shortly, having some unfinished business to take care of. As Vakama enters, Pterodax, as Vakama enters, Kitongu shows up, and he and Pterodax duke it out. Pterodax is about to strike the killing blow on Kitongu, but the temple explodes in the midst of Vakama's fight with Centrock. Pterodax captures Vakama in the confusion and attempts to barter with the Shadowed One. Kitongu's not really here anymore. I'm going to move him back over there. He'll hand over Vakama to the Shadowed One if Pterodax gets the Vahi. Shadowed One's like, no, I want my cake and I want to eat it too. I want to have my cake and eat it too. Vakama needs to pay, and I want the Mask of Time. Vakama's like, all right, no, I'm not having any of this. He frees himself from Pterodax's grasp and informs the Shadowed One that it was Pterodax who killed Nadiki and Kreka, not the Toa. He even says, like, hey, literally just look at his armor. He's got armor from both of these guys. It's like painfully obvious. Why are you so mad at me? And the Shadowed One's like, all right, yeah, you got me there. So the Shadowed One and Pterodax start to do battle. Goodbye, Vakama. And in the fight, Vakama swoops in, grabs the Vahi from the Shadowed One, and uses the... I'll do this because I can, and uses the jetpack on his disc launcher to fly away. The Shattered One fires his disintegration I-beams at the Toa, who falls, and he awakens in the lair of the Karzani, the plant that we were pretty sure that was destroyed in the beginning of the story arc, but not completely. So it turns out one small little shoot of the plant sprouted after its destruction and hid away on the Lecon too. The Karzani actually reveals the truth to Vakama. He and the others were indeed destined to become a Toa. The whole thing, the whole charade of Nuri and the others being the ones who were supposed to be Toa, that was all some galaxy brain stuff on the part of Matanui. The Great Spirit knew that Pterodax would try to change the outcome of destiny if he knew which Matoran were to become Toa. So he instructed his order, the Order of Matanui, who will become very important later on, to make it look like Nuri and the others were destined. So that Pterodax would go, nah, let's get these losers to become Toa instead because they suck and they'll probably do a terrible job. So I guess destiny ended up being fulfilled anyways. To me, that seems like a lot of wishful thinking on Matanui's part. There was a large margin for error. It's a wonder things worked out the way they did. Whatever. Pterodax arrives, fresh from his battle with the Shattered One, and kills the Karzani. Vakama threatens to destroy the Vahi, thus tearing all of reality apart. Pterodax is like, okay, fair enough. He concedes and promises to leave the Matoran in peace for 1 year. Vakama agrees, returns to the surface, and Pterodax finds Akmu, the Matoran whose sphere was lost the year prior, and begins filling the Matoran's head with lies. Vakama arrives back on the surface of Matanui, and he and the rest of the Toa... It's the last time I'm going to do this, thankfully. Oh, there goes Winnowa's head. Oh, God. Okay, there we go. He and the rest of the Toa sacrifice their power to awaken the Matoran from their spheres, becoming Turaga in the process. The Matoran have since lost all memory of the city, and so the Turaga concoct a false story about their history, agreeing to tell them the truth when the time was right. And hey, that brings us to now, which means that is the end of the 2005 Bionicle storyline. Let's do our usual thing and go over every set that released this year, because that's just the thing I decided to do. I don't know why I'm still doing this. There's really no reason for it, but it's all for content. That's ultimately the end goal, content. All right, small sets. We've got the Rahaga, Gaki, Pooks, Koalas, Norik, Bomanga, and Iruni. Medium sets, we have the Hordika, which I could get out, but I'm not going to, because that's just going to be a pain. Vakama, Nokama, Wenawa, Anawa, Matau, and Nuju, and also the Vizarak, Votorak, Bogarak, Unarak, Roporak, Kilarak, and Sukorak. Again, probably butchered those pronunciations. Sorry, but no, I'm not really. There was also a special set release that featured Norik and Iruni in their original Toahaga forms. Recently, actually, very recently, like within the last year or two, there was a contest run to give official canon designs to the rest of the Toahaga, because up until recently, with author, not just author, Greg Farshidi, who was kind of in charge of the overall story for Bionicle, he was still involved with the LEGO group. He was recently let go, unfortunately. He was still involved with the LEGO group, which meant that he could still kind of dictate some Bionicle canon. So there have been more recent official canon designs given to characters who had never been released in sets before. The Toahaga being one of the biggest ones. For larger sets, we've got Kitangu, Sidorak and Rudaka, as well as Voporak, who, just like Ultimate Duma the year before, was just a combo model of all three, Kitangu, Rudaka, and Sidorak, just packaged together. 2005 also marked the first year that play sets were released for the line, more in line with like the normal LEGO sets than these kinds of things. These were the Visorak Battle Ram, Tower of Toa, which actually has a very fun fact about it. I don't have this. It might look like I'm getting something. I wish I could. So later version of the Tower of Toa. So the Tower of Toa set comes with this spider. It's not really clear what it's meant to be. It might be a Kagarak. I don't know. But it comes with a gold Kanoe Krakan, which is Pterodactyl's mask, the Mask of Shadows. It's in light gold. So the original version was just a flat gold, but later on in the year, when LEGO was gearing up for their 2006 line, they switched the colors they used for gold, and they started using a light gold, which in LEGO circles is referred to as pearl gold. So later versions of Tower of Toa used the pearl gold plastic for the Krakan. This piece, this one singular piece, is so rare that it routinely goes for hundreds of dollars. And I'm not talking hundreds like 200, 300. Currently there are 3 for sale on Bricklink. 2 for $800 and 1 for $1,200. So if you're looking to complete your Bionicle collection, good luck. Anyways, other playsets. Then there was Battle of Metro Nui and Visorak's Gate. Collectibles this year were the Ratuka. God, these are lame collectibles. They just kind of look like this, silver. I mean, some of them, like Norik and Aruni, are colored, but no. The ones you could buy separately were just the silver. It was very boring. There was the Ultimate Battle set, which came with 5 sets from the previous year, not sure why. The Ultimate Bionicle Accessory set and the Ultimate Creatures Accessory set. I have no idea what's in either of those. Find out for yourselves. Or if you know, leave a comment, let us and tell us. Tell me. I'd love to know. I mean, I don't really care. It's a side thing. It's not not one of these. I don't care. Whatever. But yeah. That is it for Dave Explains Bionicle Lore. I hope you guys know what's coming next time. You guys know what's coming next time. 2006, the best year for Bionicle. A lot of people agree on it. I agree on it. 2006 best year. We'll see you guys next time.